Hello, and thank you so much for joining us for today's webinar brought to you by BARQAR Marketing. My name is Brad Smith. I'm the co-founder and CEO of BARQAR. And today I'm so excited to talk to you about the new rules of getting found. We're going to talk about how people's buyer behaviors have changed in the age of AI search and large language models and ChatGPT and Gemini and all the LLMs. So, the first half of today's webinar is going to be theory. We're going to talk about what's changed, how it impacts your business, and what you can do to be found. And then the second half, we're going to pop into a live demo and we're going to work through some very specific examples. So, to kick things off, I want to talk a little bit about how sales and marketing has changed over the last few years. And it didn't just get harder, it got completely rewritten. The way that people do their research, the way that they engage, the way they interact with businesses, the way they purchase has fundamentally changed. Buyer behavior has changed dramatically. People are still out there searching, but they're not searching the way that they used to. Google's no longer the only front door. In the past, you could rank well in Google, and by default, your business is going to do well. You're going to get some leads. But Google's no longer the only front door, the only way people find you. AI is shaping decisions before people reach out to you. So in the past, what would happen? Someone would go through, do a Google search, find a website. Hopefully, you're ranking in 1, 2, 3 slot. They click on your website, learn about your services, go to contact us, and hopefully that led to a sale. In that scenario, SEO, search engine rankings, mattered the most. If you were in those 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 or 5 slot, you had a good chance of earning that business. Website traffic really led to, in many cases, direct success. And sales conversions happened early in that process. Now, fast forward to today, and things have changed. So, buyers are now on a new discovery journey. At their disposal are AI tools like ChatGPT, Google AI overviews, voice assistants. And those large language models, those AIs, are aggregating the answers. So they're not just providing a whole list of links like Google used to. They're actually going through, doing the research, doing the due diligence, and putting together an aggregated answer. Again, oftentimes not just directly linking back to your website, but you want to make sure that you're in that aggregated answer. Buyers are more so focusing on social proof and third party validations. So they're going to AI, their favorite AI like ChatGPT. They're getting aggregated answers and recommendations. They're verifying those with social proof. They're looking at review sites. They're looking at third party validation. And what they're doing is they're arriving pre informed and pre qualified. 80% of that entire buyer journey, that entire buyer decision is made before they even talk with your business today. So they're doing that research. They're using tools to make that research easier, more in depth, more effective. They're validating and they're learning everything that they know and answering a lot of their questions before they even pick up the phone or even decide to visit your website. 80% of that decision's already made. So what this means is that if you're not showing up in AI answers, you don't exist. Okay. You could have dominated Google search rankings in the past. But if Google Gemini or ChatGPT or the other large language models, the other AIs, aren't recommending you, pretty soon you're not going to exist. You're not competing just on service anymore. You're competing on visibility. You're competing on earned trust or perceived trust. You're competing on authority. And even if you provide the absolute best service or the absolute best product, that provider, that company, isn't the one that always wins. The one that's most understood wins. And I think that's a big fundamental shift. So the companies that are winning today are the ones that are teaching. They're not just selling. No one wants to be sold to anymore. but people do want to learn, people do want to educate themselves. And that process is called buyer enablement. I think buyer enablement is the new lead generation. It's how we turn visibility and awareness into revenue. So, buyer enablement is all about giving people the information they need to confidently choose your business, your product, your service before they ever talk to a receptionist, before they ever pick up the phone and talk to a salesperson, before they ever walk through your door, or before oftentimes they even talk to a friend about your business or your service. So, in order to build better buyer enablement and win in AI search and be recommended by the AI engines, you need to answer real questions before your potential customers, your prospects even ask. You need to address common concerns up front. You need to build trust through transparency and not be afraid to say the things that others in your space aren't saying. And you need to know what you're great at and maybe what you're not great at. So identify what lane you play in, what lane you can excel in, the type of business that you want to be, and also the one that you're not. And both sides of that coin are very important. So again, people don't want to be sold anymore. They want to be certain. And that's why buyer enablement is so absolutely powerful. If you can enable the buyer, if you can educate the buyer during their discovery process, you're going to win more of that business because it reduces friction in decision making. It helps you and allows you to build trust at scale. If you're not selling someone on your product, on your business, on your service, but you're educating them, you're providing them with valuable resources, you're being transparent, that's where you can really build trust at scale. And when you do this, it shortens the sales cycle. I mentioned earlier that 80% of that buying decision is made before they ever talk to you. If you've made 80% of the sale and you've outpaced your competitors, you've earned that trust of the buyer, it makes the sales cycle way shorter, way easier. And you're going to see increased conversion rates. So the old way, it was all about driving website clicks. It was all about ranking well in search and getting those clicks, earning that traffic, and leading to sales. Today, it's not as easy. We need to become the obvious choice. We need to become the one that people trust, the one that's transparent, the one that's seen as an authority in your space. So, how do we do that? How do we become the absolute obvious choice in our industry? How do we use AI to our advantage? Well, the way that the large language models work and the way that they recommend different businesses, services, products, it's not just ranking a website, it's ranking you based on your authority in the space. So, some common issues that I see with businesses today and websites in general, they have generic content. It's a brochureware. There's no clear positioning in many cases. You don't know what you're great at. You don't know what you're not so great at. There's some inconsistent messaging. I see this all the time. Websites that are built for the company and not the buyer. So one thing that you could do is go through your website right now and audit it. Look at how many times it says I, we, are versus you, yours. That's a great gauge to determine whether or not your website is speaking about your company or whether it's speaking to the potential buyer and educating that potential buyer. If you can flip it to be not about you, but about the value that the end buyer is going to get from your product or your service or your company, that's where you begin to win buyer enablement and you begin to win in AI recommendations. And of course, most websites today, most businesses don't have a real strategy for AI visibility yet because it's relatively new. And we've been so ingrained to think that we have to rank number one in Google search results that a lot of people haven't realized that we're starting to shift from not just Google search results, but to AI recommendations. So, what do you do about that? Well, the key factors that the different AI models are looking at to determine whether or not they should recommend your business or a competitor is your depth of content, is your consistency of messaging. So, again, getting back to knowing your position in the market, what you're great at and what you're not good at, is extremely important. And building that consistency in your message is how you win. The large language models are looking at things like third party validations. So, what other sites link to your content? What other places are you highlighted and referenced? What other awards or honors have you won? How many online reviews do you have? What's your reputation on Indeed? It's looking at clarity of positioning, and it's looking at how relevant you are to the question that is being asked. So it's looking at all of these key factors to determine whether or not it's going to recommend your business or a competitor. So let's dig into this even deeper, and I'm going to outline a four-step plan to help you increase your visibility in the large language models, in the AIs, and win more business in your industry. And we're going to get specific here in a little bit. So, step number one, I want you to define your ideal customer profile or profiles. And oftentimes there's several. What does that actually mean? Well, your ICP is really a description, an overview of the type of customer that is the best fit for your business, your service, your product. If you're in a B2B industry, that could be the industries that you're going after. Maybe it's manufacturing, healthcare, professional services. Who are you selling into? What types of businesses? Then it's company size. So some businesses might be looking for that large enterprise client. Some might be more accustomed to working with smaller mom and pops. We need to identify that company size by revenue, maybe number of employees, maybe number of locations, but really identify what the ideal company size is. And one pitfall that I run into all the time when I ask people this, the response is, well, we're a service for anyone. Well, if you're a service for anyone or a product for anyone, you're a product for no one. Really know and identify who your absolutely ideal customer profile is, and let's get that into our ICP. I want you to look at geography and service area. Again, oftentimes I hear from companies, well, we do business nationwide. And then I really dig in and come to find out that 99% of their business is in one city. Yes, you could do business nationwide, but you need to know your geographic and service area. Because if you're truly not nationwide, and that's the message you're putting out there, then you're going to miss out on opportunities for more localized or regionalized search. So know who you are. When you're looking at your ICP, look at budget and buying capacity. That should factor into who your ideal customer profile is. And then think about and look at the operational challenges they're facing and whether your business, product, service helps them solve some of those operational challenges. So all those factors should go into identifying who your ideal customer profile is. Now let's look on the B2C or business to consumer side. You're going to want to look at consumer type. So some variables there might be income level, their interests, their education, maybe property size or home value. Maybe you're looking at different life stages. So are they a new homeowner? Do they have an aging parent? Are they, recently had a new addition to the family, etc. Then you want to look at, again, location and service radius and be honest here. Think about where the majority of your customers reside. I like to use the 80-20 rule. Let's look at where 80% of our business really resides and let's focus there. You could look at things like urgency of need is what you offer emergency versus a planned service. You might look at key pain points that they're facing tied to your product or service, like time, safety, cost, trust, etc. But really take some time to identify who your ideal customer profile is. Step two, once you know the type of uh, customer that you're going after, let's think about who the buyer is. Your buyer personas represent those individuals or the person that's making that final buying decision and why it matters most to them. So we'll do the same thing for business to business. We're going to be looking at things like role title. So you know the type of company that you're going after, who within that company is the final decision maker, and who are the influencers that impact that final decision. Might be the owner, might be operations manager, maybe a operations officer, maybe it's the HR team, maybe it's procurement, maybe it's someone else. But identify who you're targeting in those ICPs. Then let's think about their goals. What are their goals in their role? What are their KPIs? What's their mission? What's their vision? Let's make sure we understand what they're trying to accomplish, what success looks like to them. Let's identify what their pain points are. What keeps them up at night? What are their biggest challenges? What are their buying triggers? What's going to get them to take action? What key questions are they going to ask before choosing a partner in your space? Sure, you can think of those, and your sales team can probably provide a full list of those questions that they get. Let's build all of that out into a buyer personas. For B2C, again, looking at the individual, that might be a life situation. Maybe it's identifying their specific priorities and their concerns. Maybe it's looking at their decision drivers and the questions that they ask before hiring or choosing a company or a product or service. So do that and identify who you're selling into and what their rationale for buying is and what problems they're looking to solve. And that's going to help you create content to show up in these large language models. Okay, once you have identified the companies that you're going after or the type of people that you're going after and created individual personas, we're going to build our buyer enablement roadmap. So, the companies that are winning in AI search, the ones that are getting recommended by ChatGPT and Gemini and Perplexity, those are companies that aren't just guessing. They are systematically identifying the questions, the concerns, and the buying triggers that get people from being a tire kicker to actually driving revenue for your business. So, what do we need to do? Well, we need to look and we need to find those buyer insights. So, what are the biggest questions, concerns, and comments that your sales team is getting? Look at those sales conversations, look at call notes, survey your internal people, find out what common questions or objections they're getting. Create a database of those questions from prospects, from customers. One tool that we use, we can go to Google search and type in a specific topic and look at a section called People Also Ask. So once it serves up results, there's a section there that says People Also Ask. You can see all of the questions related to that search query. You can look at reviews, both yours and your competitors, to see what some of the biggest challenges and comments they had were. You can look at competitor websites and content and analyze what's working well for them. We have some internal tools here that we use to audit other competitor websites so we can see what the most frequented pages were, what the most popular content was, and then you can reverse engineer that content and build bigger, better answers so that you can leapfrog your competitors. Look at industry forums, look at Reddit, look at social discussions. Use AI tools like chat, like Gemini. I'm going to introduce you to a proprietary platform that we built here at BARQAR called Rogue IQ. It can do all of that research on buyer insights for you and tell you what you should be sharing. So what you're looking for things like challenges with life situations. You're looking at common questions that buyers ask. You're looking at the concerns and objections. You're looking at what goes into their decision criteria. Is it a price decision? Is it a speed? Is it trust? Is it quality? You're identifying what is most important to those buyers. You're looking at urgent versus long-term needs. Think about all the misconceptions in your industries or the confusion in your industries. And then think about comparison questions. Like if someone was comparing your business to your biggest competitor, what are the different factors that they're evaluating? What goes into their pro and cons list? Think about best options in a specific space. So all of these things are going to go into building out your buyer enablement roadmap. And again, we'll get into some specific examples of this in a minute. Once you have your ICPs, your personas, you've built out that buyer enablement roadmap, you understand what is holding those people back or what their biggest challenges are. Step four is building an AI optimized content engine. So once you truly understand your buyers and the people that influence them, we want you to turn that insight into consistent and scalable visibility. We want you not only to dominate Google search results, but I want you to dominate chat results, AI results, so that when somebody is looking for a business in your industry, they're looking for a product, they're looking for a service, they look for you. And not only do they look for you, but the AI recommends you over others. So, what winning companies do? They're going to take that buyer enablement roadmap and they're going to turn those questions into structured content. And you're going to answer those questions ahead of time. I mentioned it a few times, but 80% of that buying decision is made before they ever talk to you. Let's think about answering their questions before they even need to talk to you so that you are the authority in that space. Those questions are already answered. You've provided the answer. You are the trusted resource. We can do that by just taking those common questions that your sales team gets from their prospects, turn those questions into structured content. Organize that content by topics and buyer intent. Create consistent messaging across all of your channels, your website, your social, your collateral, your messaging internally, how people talk to your clients and your customers. I want you to build authority around your key service areas. This gets back to that point I made of knowing what you're great at and what you want to be great at versus what you're not so good at, or maybe that falls outside of your core. Let's focus on your key service or product areas. And then we're going to continually produce and refine content. This is what it looks like. It's producing great, high quality blog articles or content on your website that answers real buyer user questions. We're going to look at creating service pages that are aligned to buyer intent. We're going to answer and be transparent with our answers about those questions that everybody's asking. And that might be price, that might be service, that might be, could be when a competitor should be chosen instead of you. And I know that's an uncomfortable thing to think about, but knowing where you excel, knowing the market or the vertical that you own or should own is extremely powerful. So don't be afraid to be transparent. We're going to create frequently asked questions designed for AI visibility. So, on all your service or product or specialty pages, we're going to get more in depth about all of those common questions that people have tied to what you're providing. And we're going to answer those ahead of time. And by doing that, that's not only going to capture the attention of the large language models of the AIs, but it's going to build trust with your target audience. Then we're going to create social content, reinforcing those key topics, keeping you top of mind. Then I want you to create additional supporting content that might come in the form of guides or comparisons or checklists or best of lists or an overview of all the amazing awards that you've won in the past. All these can go a great way to building trust and having you seen as a topic authority. And once you're seen as a topical authority, that's when you start winning in search. That's when you start winning in AI visibility. And that's when you start driving a lot more inbound business for you. All right, so those are our 4 steps. We're going to go from strategy to execution. We're going to identify the ICPs and personas that you're targeting. We're going to identify what their biggest questions or what insights they're looking for are. We're going to create a strong, amazing content engine. And then we're going to build out visibility in AI, in AEO, in SEO, on the social sites. And we're going to build trust and we're going to build conversions. All right. Now, I want to introduce you to a platform that's going to do everything that I just mentioned for you. And it's really going to streamline things. I want to introduce you to Rogue IQ. And this is really a smarter way to build, launch, and optimize your marketing. The reason that we built this is because we saw a lot of companies trying to do manual research, or even worse, just throwing spaghetti at the wall, seeing what messages stuck out there and having one general message for everyone. And it was throwing marketing dollars out the window. Rogue IQ is a better way to do this. What we're going to do is we're going to go through and use this technology to build a better, stronger, faster strategy with AI powered insights. We're going to custom tailor all of our marketing to your ICPs and your personas to get better results. And in fact, we're going to help you build out those ICPs and those personas. We're going to use deep research from hundreds of different large language models to really hone in and identify who the exact right target is for you and who the exact right buyers are. We're going to create high quality content in minutes, not hours. And what's great is all of this content is directly aligned with your ideal client profiles and those personas that you're selling into. It's going to result in more targeted marketing that gets better results. We're going to make sure that we align search engine optimization, AI visibility, and social media all in one system for you. And this is a fully managed content marketing platform with social media marketing, search engine optimization, AI optimization, and more. We're continually adding more and more to this platform. So I'm going to get into a demo. Before I do, here's a QR code and my contact information. If you want a copy of this slide deck, if you want a recording of this presentation, just scan this. It's going to take you to a simple comment form. Just let me know what you're looking for, or let me know if you want an individual demo of what we're going to get into here. If you want to talk about, your industry or the biggest challenges that you're facing, if you want to talk about custom strategy for how to approach the market, I absolutely love to. Either myself or one of our team members here can get that call scheduled and walk you through what that looks like. But scan that QR code, fill out the short form, and we can provide more additional information. All right, now let's get into an actual demo of the Rogue platform. So I'm going to pop out of our presentation. We're going to jump over and look at a very specific example. So let's take a look at setting up a physical therapy office, a family practice in Rogue, and producing high quality content to rank in AI search, rank in Google search, create a resource for their website to educate patients and fulfill the buyer enablement journey. And let's focus on creating some content that helps with ranking, helps with the buyer engagement, and helps with social. And we'll do this all in just a few minutes. So, the first thing that we would do is log over to BARQAR's Rogue IQ platform. We're going to enter just the company name. I'm going to put an industry for the organization, and I'm going to include the website. Now, once I click create company, what's going to happen in the background is the platform and the AI is going to use several different large language models. It's going to go through and analyze the practice's website. It's going to look at social pages. It's going to learn everything it can about the organization, its history, its background. It's also going to do a competitive analysis so that it's looking at competitors how they're positioned. It's going to compare First Step Physical Therapy to those local competitors and identify where there's opportunity to own the market. So it's going to do all of that behind the scenes. Now, if I click this Create Company button, it's going to get started in, depending on the time of day and how busy the large language models are, it might wrap up in 5 minutes. It might take 25 minutes, just depending on volume of traffic. But for purposes of this demo, I've actually gone through and done that already and set it up. So right on first pass, this is what it found about the practice. So just by entering website, company name, and turned the AI loose, it's coming back and putting together a company summary. It's going through and identifying and creating a SMART goal, a business goal for this organization. Now, all of this is completely editable and updated. You can update this and include any additional information you want. But at first pass, it's pretty darn accurate. It's going through products, services, locations, target audience who we're going after. It's going through grabbing mission, vision, culture. It's identifying those key differentiators, what makes this practice unique. It's looking at future goals and initiatives and making some assumptions there. And then we've got voice and messaging. So it's coming through and pulling in a brand promise. It's going through and analyzing key messages that we want to get across. These are our key differentiators, and you can add additional if it makes sense. And then we have tone sliders. So when we're producing all this amazing, great content, we can adjust the tone and make it more friendly or more moderate, make it more technical or playful or formal, depending on your brand, your company, how you want to engage and how you want to interact. We can even add different writing style guides. So do's and don'ts. If there's a specific word choice that you don't like and don't want to include, we can put rules in place to make sure that that doesn't end up in your content. It's automatically going through and, when possible, pulling in logos and color schemes and everything. All of this is customizable. We can upload different images. We can have different images for different use cases. We can change out our social image. Well, we'd want to change out the favicon here because it's rather pixelated. That's easy, simple change, and we can just clear that out and upload it. But the AI is doing all of this work for you. So it's identifying your brand colors. It is going through and recommending font choices and types. It's going through socials and the website and pulling in different types of images to get a feel for your overall brand and how you want to be represented. And you can add more or change more. It's doing an analysis of the social samples, and it's coming up with an AI design prompt for all of our imagery moving forward. Again, all of this is customizable too. So if there's a change that you want to see moving forward, we simply come back into visuals and update this. You can test and create some different images here. And again, we can have image rules. We can brand all of your images with your company logo or your logo mark. Now, where I think this becomes really, really powerful is in strategy. So, the first half of the presentation, I talked about the importance of creating and identifying your ideal customer or your ideal client profiles. Just by putting in the website URL and the research that the platform does for you, it has come up and identified several ICPs on your behalf. So this has not been edited. I've just gone through and set this up, and it identified a few ideal client or customer profiles. You'll see here, it's pulling in senior living and assisted care facilities, primary care facilities, and home health. Now, physical therapy gets a lot of referrals. We definitely want to make sure that these are in our ICPs. We want to establish and foster a great relationship with those referring practitioners so we can create content that's custom tailored to them and for them. But now, as we scroll down, you'll see that we also have ICPs for the actual patients. You've got active adults with pain. We've got post-surgical rehab, chronic pain disrupting sleep and performance. We have active adults with limiting pain, post-surgical recovery patients. We have youth and adult recreation athletes. So we've identified several of the key ICPs that this practice really should try to be getting in front of. And then with each one of these ICPs, you can see here that we're creating individual personas. So, for an example, you've got a youth travel soccer player, you've got ice hockey weekend warrior, you've got a high school varsity lacrosse player. It is getting very focused around the actual person that we're trying to market to. Here's a great example. It's creating this fictional person, Diane, who's the parent of a lacrosse athlete. Look at the level of detail this goes into. So it's creating a picture of who this person is, their responsibilities, their demographics, and their background, their pain points. So when we're creating content, we need to create a buying trigger or an emotional response around their pain points, what their biggest challenges are. The system and the platform is going through and doing all of this work for us. It's looking at goals and motivations. It's going through and looking at behavior and metrics, how they go about making their decisions and what they're looking for. This provides us with all of the detail that we need to create content and marketing material that creates that emotional response for the people that we're selling into, those ICPs and those personas that we're trying to sell into. So it's doing all of the work for you. Now, on setup, what we like to do is try to get you content as quickly as possible. So after it goes through and does that analysis, it's going to come up with some high level topics and recommendations for you. So this is simply based on me putting in the website, adding a little bit of detail, and then letting the AI do the work. But look at some of these topic titles that come back and think to yourself, would this align with my business? Uh, Here are some ideas why the first 72 hours after an injury are the most important of your recovery. It's a pretty good topic. Here's another one therapist every visit, why continuity of care makes sense. The real reason your shoulder pain keeps coming back. I like that one. So I'm going to pick two of these. And then it's also recommending and creating a long form piece of content for search engine optimization and AI optimization. So here's an interesting topic: how to get a physical therapy appointment without a doctor's referral. Let's go ahead and create those. So I'm going to click create 5 pieces of content. It's going through and giving you updates. It's analyzing the website. It's looking at the industry. It's analyzing your brand voice. It's researching these different topics. And behind the scenes, it's going through all of these different jobs with AI to really identify a piece of content that is really going to match your audience and help your business achieve your goals. So it's going to be creating a lot of these different pieces. And what's great about this isn't like you're just going to ChatGPT and saying, "Hey, create this blog post for me." The platform is going through and using dozens, probably hundreds, over 100 different AI models to come up with the content. So behind the scenes, it's not just getting a topic and writing a post. It's using different large language models to improve content across the board. So there's a rubric being created. It's doing research on topics. It's looking at competitive data. It's going through and editing its own work. It's continually modifying and adjusting and coming up with great content that fits. So you can see here that we've got some pieces of content already created. Now, what I'm going to do is pop over and show you our how you go about creating a additional piece of content for a target audience. So that's right off the bat. That's onboarded. It's creating content for you. But what I can do is come over to content and create a new plan, and I'll walk you through what that looks like. So let's say I want to let's create a blog post. It's going to walk you through and help you choose or pick your persona, the person that you want to market to. So in this case, let's say, and you can choose all of your different personas here, but let's just say we're going to choose our high school varsity wrestling coach and phys ed teacher. Okay. Or let's do this. Let's pick an adult amateur ice hockey player with overuse injuries. Okay. There. Those are both created. And it's going to suggest some different goals. Let's see. Maybe we want to publish content that earns three inbound referral partner inquiries each month. I like that one. All right, let's click done. How often should content be published? Let's say we want to blog post every week. Okay. What format of post? You can create several different types of formats of content. For this demo, let's just do a standard blog post. The AI in the background is thinking. And what's going to happen next is it's going to ask us a few questions about this target audience. So by asking you some questions, you can guide the AI if you want, um, but you don't have to. So you can answer any of these questions if you want, and there's only five. So when they come in injured, what's one mistake in their training or movement patterns that you see over and over and over again? Well, ignoring the injury at first and making it worse. Okay, another question pops up. What injury types or complaints have you seen spike among your younger athletes in the past few months? If you have that detail, great. If not, let's just go ahead and skip it. Skip the rest of these questions for this demo. And based on that, it's going to generate topic ideas for us. So again, it's thinking about those ICPs and those personas that we selected. It's gathering any of the detail that we shared in those questions. And now it's coming up with some recommendations for us. So here are some great topics. Why ignoring that twinge during practice costs goalies months of recovery. It's talking about one of the ICPs we picked was a wrestling coach. It's talking about movement pattern mistakes and how to avoid it. Difference between tough it out and actually injured. That's a good one, especially for macho high school athletes, and probably more importantly for their parents. All right, so I've picked three different topics. I actually love all of these. You know what? I'm going to generate all of them. Now, what's again happening in the background is all of this content is being created by the AI. So, in a few clicks, we're generating seven really high value pieces of content that I can add to my blog or my resources section on my practices website that are all custom tailored to a very specific ICP and buyer. The more specific that we can get, the more likely it is to convert, the more likely it is for AI to realize that you're the expert in this area, and the more likely it is they are going to refer your practice when somebody is searching for youth sports physical therapists. Okay, so this is how we get ranked. This is how we show up more prevalently in AI and in search. And right off the bat, this is already starting to produce some content for us. And I mentioned earlier that behind the scenes, there's rubrics and there's grading mechanisms that are happening. So when this post first loaded, you might have seen an SEO score of, maybe in the teens. Now it just went from 81 to 89. The platform is we're going through and using different large language models to compare content against each other, and it is actively going back in and improving this content in real time. Okay, so if we give this a few minutes, that SEO score is going to go even higher. Okay, and then you can apply suggested recommendations and everything else. Now, the AI is working behind the scenes, it's creating images and everything else. So I'm going to actually go in. I created some content a little bit earlier today. I'm going to go into my calendar and just pull up some examples of content that was already created. So with our calendar, there's a calendar view or a list view. I like the list view to see what's happening. So these are the ones that I just created. But if I scroll down here a little bit more, there were some that I created a little bit ago. So let's just take a look at this particular post. The real reason your shoulder pain keeps coming back. Okay. So the AI is automatically creating an image. Now, this is something subtle, but if you notice the color of the wall here, the color of clothing, and other things, it is looking at your brand logo and your brand colors, and it's incorporating that into the image right here. So, very subtle thing, but can certainly help. So, you can see here, it's coming up with a great piece of content. Everything is structured. It's the AI is automatically embedding links to other places on your website. So the goal is to not just get them to read a piece of content. The goal is to get them to take action. And now here, there's a quick link to new patient information so that they can click and sign up and talk to someone. There's great takeaways, great pieces of advice and content here. Again, we're mixing in things like inbound links to other pages with keywords that you want to rank well for, like in this case, physical therapy. And we're driving traffic back to key conversion pages. Now, some things that you can do. You can go in and auto apply recommendations. So it's going through and going to rewrite some of the content based on the rubric and the analysis the AI is doing to improve that score even more. Everything is search engine optimized and AI optimized, has a focus keyword, has calls to action, is fact checking behind the scenes. Let's say you wanted your logo on this image. You could come in here and add that. Now, right now, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking to myself, boy, that logo's really kind of small. Let's go in and up that a little bit. There we go. We got our brand logo or icon there. We can move that in different positions if we want. Put it up in the corner. All right, we're going to apply that logo. You can even come in and edit the image. So if I go to edit with AI and I don't like this, I can click and circle that. I can click next and I could just say remove the iPad and click edit image. It's going to remove that iPad for me. It's how cool the system really is. So you get a great high quality piece of content, something that is search engine optimized and AI optimized, something that is specifically relevant to your ICP and the personas that you're trying to get in front of, something that provides links back to key conversion pages and helps you grow your practice over time. Now, I'm going to go back to my calendar and I will show you a different type of content. Let's say, all right, here, let's look at a social post. So it's coming through and identifying some great content here. It's automatically putting in your relevant hashtags. And again, it's got a great image here that's branded in your colors. Now, let's say you don't like this image and you want to replace it with your own image or upload a image of one of your practitioners in your own office. You can certainly do that. And you have full control over all of that. Now, a question just came in. Once this content is produced, do I have to cut and paste it? How do I get it onto my social platforms? Here's the best part. Um, Once we have all of your social platforms connected, you can publish right from here. So we can connect to Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, X, and you can push these all over to your social platforms. You pick what you want, and the image and content is automatically optimized for that individual platform and the requirements within that platform. So for X, character limitations are a thing. So it is going through and streamlining that post to make it relevant for X. With LinkedIn, we have a little bit more opportunity for content. So that's all here. Once I click save and approve, I can schedule out when I want this to post and click save. And once your social accounts are connected, it's going to automatically push there. If your website is built on WordPress, we have an automatic publish into WordPress. We have APIs for other platforms as well. So there's a great opportunity for you here to do everything right within the platform and not have to leave, not have to do anything else. It's going to optimize for your website, your socials, and for AI. All right. I do know that we're running up on time here, so I hope that this was helpful. If you have additional questions or there's something else that you want to see, you'd like to look at what this looks like for your practice or your business, we are happy to do that. I would encourage you to reach out to us. You can visit barker.com. That's BARQAR. You can scan this QR code here and just fill out our quick form. I'd be happy to reach out to you and have a discussion, or one of our team members will. And we'd love to have you test out the platform and think through what this might look like for your business. Oh, another question just came in. This is an important one that I didn't cover. What's the cost? There is an opportunity for you to use the platform on your own. If you go to barker.com and look at Rogue IQ, there is a pricing outline. But what I recommend to most businesses is you at least to start, have us operate the platform for you. Get everything set up, get everything onboarded, get everything to a point where we have your ICPs and your personas identified. And let us run the platform for you for a few months until you get comfortable and you feel like you can run it yourself. So for us, for using the platform, for us to have someone manage everything for you, set up your calendars, manage all of your social media posts, manage your search engine optimization, your AI optimization, manage your blog content, and get everything produced and pushed out to all of those platforms, it's $1,650 per month. And then if you get to a point where you feel comfortable and want to run the platform on your own, there's a platform fee, and that's all outlined on our pricing page at barker.com. But again, feel free to reach out to me. Scan this QR code. Let me know if you have any questions or if you want to see your business in the platform. I'd be happy to set you up, produce some pieces of content so that you can see what this actually looks like for your business. I think you're going to find that it's an extremely powerful platform. It's going to help you amplify your message to the exact right target audience with the exact right buying triggers triggered. And I think you're going to see some value and direct response out of this. So, hopefully, you found this helpful, whether you decide to do it on your own or use a platform like Rogue IQ. I think that the principles and the strategies that we've outlined today can help you really level up your marketing output, help you rank higher in AI, rank higher in search, and drive more visibility for your practice. So thank you so much for listening in. I hope you found this helpful. And if it does make sense, you want to reach out, we would absolutely love to talk with you. Take care.